I should be back. Can you see me? Hello, if you can.
Well, I was going to say it goes to the commercial. At least on mine it did.
Good enough. Okay, we have successfully recovered. I succeeded my death saving throws. I guess technically my computer has succeeded its death saving throws. It wasn't me that died, it was the computer. And yeah, no commercials for the cool DMs who subscribed. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Social media.
Right. Well, yes, I know that. I meant what was our specifically collaboration. How to approach collaboration.
Yeah. Just, be as respectful as possible. There's something to be said for manners. Yeah. I know. Parents, try to grind it into your head. And yeah, as an adult, you figure out that they do work.
Yeah, they work. They work. There's I can't remember. It was from another streamer and YouTuber that I watch. But he was talking, because he's also an actor, and he was talking specifically about like the acting world. But it was that you can go pretty far being a jerk. You can push your way to the top, but you will go infinitely farther if you are the person that everybody wants to work with again.
You've got to be very good if you're a jerk.
Well, even then, you will still lose out on roles and parts and things because they'll just be like, yeah, he's good, but I don't want to work with him.
I don't want to deal with that attitude.
Yeah, so there is something really to be said about being respectful, being polite, being friendly. And I know it sounds kind of dumb when you say it, but like that's how it is. I am way more likely to want to work with somebody who generally seems interested in the stuff that I do and doesn't seem like they just want, to use my followers as their followers.
The time that I was booking people for Dave, again, I didn't have company behind me. I was a nobody. I had one person turn me down. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's putting yourself out there and asking. Of course, that person also doesn't do interviews at all, but I kept trying.
Well, you're nothing if not persistent. I do want to bring up what Stohov said in a chat. So Stohov said, I had 2 to 3 months back and forth chats with Wish before he'd asked if I wanted to do videos for Smiteworks, specifically 5e and FGU. Yeah. So that's kind of how it's got to work. And yeah, it sucks that it takes time, but you need to build up that rapport with people to let them know that you're not just using them. Nobody wants to be used.
Or that you're like a lot of the other ones, in 1 month you're gone.
Yeah. And that's another great question. What's the best way to grind consistent content without burning out, especially if you aren't advancing as fast as you hope? I was waiting to see if you had anything so I could take a drink of water.
Yeah,
get my camera back on so you can see what I'm doing.
I've been on streams, but I've never. I don't run streams, so that's.
I was hoping you had some. But all right.
See, I've been playing so many games every year, and I still haven't. I have not, knock on wood, hit a burnout.
I would say the difference, though, is you're, as you mentioned, you're on streams. You're not necessarily the one
not running it
when doing them, and that's where the burnout comes from. Because I would assume, I guess I don't know for sure. I would assume that it still feels like playing a game for you, and like it does still for me too. It's still fun. But there's an element of work to it that causes that burnout. And it's why my personal streams have started to go down in frequency is burnout. So I don't know if I'm necessarily the best person to answer how to avoid burnout when I definitely fell headfirst into it. But my first bit of advice is, if anybody tells you you have to stream every day, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. And this is coming from somebody who, from like March of 2020 until sometime in 2021, streamed every single day with only a couple of days off. Every single day for upwards of 4 to 8 hours. And you know what? I did grow in that time, but the burnout isn't worth it, because now the last thing I want to do is play play a game on my personal channel and stream it. Obviously this right here is a little bit different. This show is different, and it's fun and exciting every time I do it.
It's part of your job. And
yeah,
I was gonna say, you're already streaming 3 things a week.
Yes. And that's
a good number for
three
normal.
things a week is what I would say is like the max you should do, especially if you're starting out, and especially if it's not your full-time job. But honestly, I would say 2 or 1, as long as you're really consistent.
Yeah, pick a day and that's your day.
Yep.
Or, have occasional jump on and just chit chat. That way you get to know the community.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to game on Tuesday and Thursday, but I'm going to chit chat on Saturday.
That's kind of what happened with my prep stream, is that we have our consistent game on Friday nights at 8 p.m. And then all of the other streams are a lot more casual. There's these streams, which obviously when we have guests, especially guests from other companies, are a little less casual. But they're still just talking and interacting with people. And same thing with the prep stream. Yeah, I'm prepping for the game, but I'm also talking and just interacting, and it's really not that it's not as exhausting as if I was to stream an RPG game every single day of the week.
That would be a lot of work.
That would be a lot.
8 to 64 hours per script. Wow, that is a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm going to read that just in full, just so that everyone can see, because obviously that won't get preserved onto YouTube. From Stohove, who, by the way, for those that don't know, Stohove does all of those fancy tutorial videos for 5e stuff in FGU on our channel on YouTube. Great videos. Anyway, Stohove says, it takes a lot of effort to plan and prepare for a video. Usually takes 8 to 64 hours per script for a single video. As a DM, it takes months to prepare for a single campaign, and it might only last 10 to 15 sessions on top of an additional 1 to 2 hours prep work before each session. Yeah, there is a lot of work that goes into it. But I think the important thing is don't do too much. Don't overwork yourself. Don't feel like you have to do every day. 1 to 2 days is perfectly fine to start out with. If you're doing it relatively full time, 3, maybe more if you're really full time and it's like your full job. But I would stick to that. And then the rest of the time, use that instead of streaming. Use the rest of that time to interact with other streamers, brands. Use that time to make content elsewhere. I know that's the thing I'm guilty of, is I don't really do that. But that's like the one big advice, is if you really want to grow, you're not going to do it just streaming every day or streaming frequently. What you need to do is be making a diverse amount of content that people are going to like. So if you feel like you've hit a wall in how much you're growing in your streams, you probably have hit a wall. you probably have hit the threshold of all of the people that are going to organically find you in a timely fashion on the platform that you use, especially if you only use one platform. If you diversify that, if you on top of streaming your weekly, Pathfinder game or whatever game you're playing, on top of streaming your weekly game, if you're also then like every Friday's your game, maybe on Wednesday you post a tutorial on a YouTube channel about how to do something. You could do what I did and make Tuesday your game prep stream, or you could do honestly, I wouldn't do another stream. I would specifically look at diversifying yourself into content on a different platform, because those followers that you'll gain on those other platforms, which usually have way better discoverability than any streaming service, will become followers on your streaming platform.
Take something that was really funny or fun or interesting that happened in game, especially if it's only 20 seconds or less. Make a TikTok out of it.
Yeah, make a TikTok. It doesn't have to be a TikTok. Make an Instagram reel. Make a Twitter. Do they call them reels? Make a Twitter video.
Instagram is real. Yeah.
There's another one that also uses reel.
Guess what? That little 20-second thing you just made can be put on TikTok.
YouTube Instagram. Shorts. That's another great one.
Short. Right.
I don't know if it's still that way. I haven't kept up on the algorithm, but I know that for a while, YouTube Shorts algorithm was really broken. And just at random, you would be hit with millions and millions of views. So YouTube Shorts is a great one.
I was shocked because on my personal channel, on the YouTube Shorts, when I flipped over to the Fantasy Grounds, that was the first one it showed.
Yeah.
It's one of my personal, I'm like, wow, algorithm. Yay.
But yeah, breaking up the content that you make, obviously it still needs to be relevant to what you do. Don't if you're known for being the Cyberpunk Red stream, I wouldn't then go and make tutorials for another game or a game from another company or something like that, or something not RPG related. But if you keep what your brand is, you can diversify within that brand.
Bryce, do you know what my original brand was coming into gaming?
I don't know. No, what was it?
$3 and under terrain.
I lied. I actually did know that. What was it called?
$3 and under terrain.
Okay. Yeah. How's the terrain business going?
I haven't. I have, like I told you, I'm making some cyberpunk, costume pieces.
That's cool.
So
that's fun.
Another part of it.
Yeah, and see, but even stuff like that, that's related.
Right. I even thought about flipping on one of the making the different things where people can watch as I'm making, because they're that easy. It's something that I can make for less than $5 that if I bought it online, it's going to cost me almost $100.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and in that vein, with the diversifying content, if you're playing a weekly homebrewed D&D game and you need maps made for your game in Fantasy Grounds, and you're making maps within Fantasy Grounds, you're making maps in one of the other programs, and you get pretty good at that, that's now another avenue that's related. You can do tutorials for that, videos about it. You can talk about how you made that really cool catacombs map and how you made it look exactly how you wanted it. And now that's content that you can use that is something that a lot more people are going to be searching for. And if they find that, there's a high likelihood that they will then also check out the rest of the stuff you do.
I found a streamer that I added to the list last week because he was making maps for his Fantasy Grounds game. And that's how I found him, just randomly going through channels on Twitch.
Yeah.
And this is how you get on my list, and then I randomly pick 3 people a week that Brad will highlight in the newsletter.
That too. If you're streaming with Fantasy Grounds, please reach out to Paulette. If you're not already on the list, reach out, because we want to know who you are.
There's over, at this point, again, I've been making this list for 2 years. There's almost 600 people in there. There's a lot of streamers out there.
Yeah.
And some of these, it's not all games. Some of them are content creators. Like Stohove's on there for content creation.
But yeah, so I think the best way to avoid burnout, just to kind of concise this up into a short sentence, the best way to avoid burnout is don't overwork yourself. Don't feel like you need to stream every single day and for tons of hours. I know I said concise, but there's one more thing I wanted to bring up, is that when I started, I would run my games for 3 hours minimum, at least 3 hours, with a break at the 1.5 hour mark. Sometimes they would go for 5-6 hours. Don't do that. I mean, if that's your comfortable level, if 3 hours is your comfortable level, then that's fine. But find what your comfortable level of running a show and a game is. For me, I settled on 2 hours, which seems short for a lot of people that play RPGs, if you're just a player. But for a stream, like 2 hours is a perfect time. Any longer than that, and for a show, it's harder to watch.
Viewers are going to drop off.
Yeah.
At the 2 hour mark.
So find that point where it's comfortable. 2 hours is perfectly comfortable for me to run a game and not feel completely exhausted after. Especially if you're only taking a single break. So anyway, don't overwork yourself. Don't stream every single day. You don't need to. It might help you a little bit in the short term, but it's going to take a huge toll on your mental and physical health. Beyond that, to then counteract that, diversify your content, make some videos. Even if it's not videos, be active on Twitter with people, be interacting with people, and just like get yourself out there. Let people know who you are.
I'll give you a quick warning in case power goes out. It's storming over here.
Well, we're pretty close to the end of the stream, give or take however much time was lost during the crashes.
Anybody have any questions? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions. I do want to bring up, because I didn't earlier because I forgot to change them and then we crashed. There's 2 ways that you can ask questions. You can post it in chat if you're watching on any platform, Kick, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, any of them, just post it in chat. If you're watching on Twitch, twitch.tv/fantasygrounds, please consider, down at the bottom of the screen, there you'll see a little D20 icon. Click on that. Opens up a little menu. There's an ask a question button in there. If you click on that and type your question into there, it will go into a queue. That way it doesn't get lost in chat conversation. It makes it a lot easier for me to keep track of questions rather than if they're in chat. I'm usually pretty good at keeping track of them, but sometimes I know that they get lost.
Sorry, I just got a thing across my board for a show I don't usually see this early in the day, so we'll see if they come on. We might be able to actually raid another channel we haven't raided before.
Any favorite game for narrative storytelling, especially one-shot or rules light systems? Good question.
I'm looking at Stove's question.
Stohove, I'm just gonna put a stop on that and say we're not answering that currently until the rules are out in full. How about that?
Yeah, I can't really. Well, and I'll make it easy. I don't care as long as I get to play.
Yeah, so that's there we go. There's your question, Stohove. That's my answer too.
The original box all the way to 5e. I don't care.
So that's the thing. I don't play. I honestly, for real, I don't necessarily play Dungeons and Dragons for the rules. I like the idea of the game, and I love the Forgotten Realms. So if it's a game that natively supports me running games in the Forgotten Realms, I'm going to like it. I'm not a huge fan of 3rd edition. I think it's a little too complicated for my tiny brain. But I love some of the video games that were set in Forgotten Realms, like Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2. Even though I'm still look at all those little plus numbers and go, oh, I got a math today.
The only thing that will ever make me hate D&D is if they take the rogue away. If they take the rogue away, I'm gone.
That's never happening. It's such a core part of that, but that's one of those, like, that's not going to happen. It's such a core part of the fantasy. It would be like removing fighter.
Because I enjoy playing something that is so far away from my personality.
All right, favorite games for narrative storytelling. That is a great question. I wish I'd played more rules light or storytelling centric games. Especially for one shots. I guess I'll give you the only one I have a teeny tiny little bit of experience with, which would be Call of Cthulhu. It's not the most rules light, but once you get your head around them, they're not too complicated. And obviously, as with any system, it can be as rules heavy or as rules light as you want. I think D&D works great as a rules light game. Just slim down some of the complicated rules, and at its core, you roll a d20. If the number is high, you succeed. If the number is low, you fail.
I think any of them can be. Just it's how you run them.
But yeah, I think especially for one shots, I feel like Call of Cthulhu is pretty good for specifically one shots. I don't know how I would feel playing like a long-term campaign, but I love a good horror, scary one shot. Nothing like sitting down with a group of friends in a dark basement, crowded around your fantasy ground screen, and scaring yourself.
So we're gonna do Shadow the Demon Lord next?
Yeah, sure. Sure, why not? I need to. Oh, I guess that is technically a rules light system.
That was fun.
I need to learn the rules of that one. Yeah,
that's the other thing.
We got the Stohove's question. We're not going to touch that.
Yeah, it's fun to try out different games. Thursday games.
Yeah, it's coming back. It will come back. It's just got to find somebody willing to run them, because I don't want to GM them all. Can do a couple though. What is a good tile set for post-apocalypse desert wastes like Mad Max? Have you checked out our oh no, what is it called? I know we have a couple of desert ones, but I was thinking of the abandoned places. Is that what it's called? It's a good question for Josh's tomorrow.
Yeah. And, if you all don't know, Josh Watma does his map making shows on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on this channel. If you get there at the very beginning and he goes, "What are we going to make today?" Jump in and tell him what you want.
And he'll make it. He
puts those maps on the forge for use. There's some wonderful packs in the map packs that would definitely do well for making things for Savage Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. Let's see.
Yeah, the abandoned places. And I think there's 3 or 4 different collections of abandoned places as well. All right. Any more?
The easiest thing to do is just get the art subscription, and that way you get a chance to
then
use any of the
you
packs.
just need to go into the asset window and just type in a search for something.
Because there's so many in there. Oh, I love exploding dice. The D&D game I was in every Friday has ended a couple months back, and we're now East Texas University. And I'll tell you what, there was one day we didn't think it was going to stop. It just kept going. It's wonderful. I love exploding dice.
All the dice have exploded. Perfect. Well, if that's the end of our questions, then I think we're about done. Thank you, everyone, for coming around to the show. It's very good to talk to you all. These Fantasy Grounds Fridays, the show happens every single Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Should we mention who our guest is next week? Or is that a spoiler?
We can mention it.
Okay. So next week, we are going to have Dungeon Alchemist on. If you don't know what Dungeon Alchemist is, it's a really cool, easy to use map creation software that creates animated maps. And coincidentally, we just added animated map support. So having Dungeon Alchemist on is going to be awesome. I will love to get to sit down and talk with them. For a while thought it was a really, really cool program, and I'm excited to actually get to try it out now. Anyway.
And of course, the person that I hadn't, was like, oh, great, maybe we can raid them. They're playing Baldur's Gate.
Well, it's
Everybody's playing Baldur's Gate.
You're right, I am. That's what I'm going to go do right after I send a message over to Dungeon Alchemist.
But we're going to go watch somebody who's actually playing.
That's fair.
Fantasy Grounds.
That's fair. I'm just waiting for somebody to start running a game that is just Baldur's Gate 3 converted into Fantasy Grounds.
There we go. And then after this stream, I will, hop over to FG Hangout. So if anybody wants to jump in there.
Over on our Discord channel, or on a Discord server, we have a channel called FG Hangout. Feel free to hop in and talk with us while we're in there. Beyond that, hey, come back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Fabled Dice. That's my 5e stream. We're starting to wrap up Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It's gonna be fun. It may or may not be the finale. I'm not sure. Depends on how intelligent my players are. They've got to figure out one really big puzzle. And I don't think they have enough clues to figure it out. So I think it might be a few more streams.
It took us straight to. I didn't even push the button, and it took us over to the.
Well, then we're talking directly to YouTube and Kick. Hey everyone, how you doing? If you're not on Twitch, you get this special secret message. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for coming out to the stream.
See y'all next week.